Hi, welcome to Hyperion Hype Club. My name is McKenna and I love the Kingdom Keepers books by Ridley Pearson. Join me as we discuss this series and others published by Disney Hyperion Books. Let's get into it. Hi everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Hyperion Hype Club. Today we are going over chapters 28 through 32 of Kingdom Keepers, Disney in Shadow by Ridley Pearson. A very action-packed section of chapters, I think. So yesterday, Villain's Realm, the new Kingdom Keepers book, was released. So I am probably sucked into the book as you guys are listening to this. But I will have a review out for that next week. I'm so excited to read this book, especially after reading the first book, which I do have a short review for that. You can check out a shorts version of it, or a slightly longer version. I think it's like 7 minutes something review on my channel, wherever you listen. Well, the shorts is only on like YouTube and then my TikTok, Disney Safari Girl. But Spotify, you can listen to like the 7 something minute review. If you want to, I definitely recommend it. If you've read this series before, but you haven't read any of the Inheritance books, obviously you gotta read these before you get into Inheritance. And there are plenty more after these, but I think, I don't think you would I'm only first one book into Inheritance so far. I don't think you would have to read anything after the original 5 to understand really what's going on. You might. Actually, you might. There might be something from the Return series set in Disneyland that you have to read. Okay, well, anyway, we'll see. I mean, I'm only 1 out of 3 books into Inheritance, so we'll see. Other 2024 Disney Hyperion releases I'm really looking forward to are Kill the Beast, which is Gaston's book in Serena Valentino's Villain series. It's the 11th book in that series. That is coming out on July 2nd. And then Percy Jackson, Wrath of the Triple Goddess is coming out September 24th. If you haven't read Percy Jackson, Chalice of the Gods, the 6th Percy Jackson and the Olympians book, I also have reviews on that one. And then non-Disney book news is that an illustrated edition of the first Hunger Games book is coming out on October 1st. Dynasty Triple Goddess is coming out September 24th. I think I did. Anyway, yeah, so took some notes from Harry Potter, I'm sure. But I'm hoping, because like you can see a few sketches online. I'm like, will it really be worth it? Because I hear the Harry Potter ones are really worth it. Like my older sister has, I think she has the first 3. But I'll see what people say. I'll probably have it on my Christmas wish list, and that'll be something like, if no one gets it for me, I'll get it for myself. Kind of depending on what I hear about it. But I have heard like some illustrations in the book are like, wow, if the movie did it this way, it would have been like just that much better. So we'll see. And then when this episode comes out, it is the week after my older sister got married. So congrats to Tori and Kevin. Welcome to the fam, Kevin. But yeah, anyway, I would have just spent this past weekend in Orlando because they got married in Ocala at Enchanted Oaks Farms. I can't review it right now because it's over a month before. But yeah, the place is pretty. But yeah, we'll be going down to Orlando for a few days after that. And hopefully my dad goes to the parks with us because whoever wants to join can like join Tori and Kevin and Epcot on Sunday. And even if it's just like meet up for a ride or a drink or whatever. Or you can just, I think they want to drink around the world, which I've never done, but maybe my partner and I will like eat around the world, or like maybe I'll drink some stuff. I don't know. I'm kind of saving drinking around the world for doing it with my best friend. Don't necessarily want to do it all the time. Anytime, multiple times, it is a pricey thing to do. But like splitting stuff with people makes it much more doable, like financially and, you know, blood alcohol wise, or just stomach wise in general. So that'll be a lot to have like 11 snacks, especially Disney portions sometimes. Okay, anyway, moving on, let's jump into this group of chapters. So let's start with the highlights reel as per usual. So Philby and Maybeck notice that the father-son duo is missing from the 3D boat bow at the Maelstrom loading dock mural. Charlene distracts Overtaker jesters while Jess and a drenched Willa fight a gargoyle that Charlene ultimately breaks. The girls leave the France pavilion without looking for the cross and try to avoid more Overtakers. Gigabyte, the crash test dummies, Finn and Amanda head toward France. Along the way, Amanda realizes that she can't use her telekinetic powers as well when she's crossed over. A lot went down in Maelstrom, during which I was captivated. I was like glued to my book. That happened a few times in this section. And Maybeck and Philby got the sword. Putting together the Irish and fly clues, the kids decide to split up again. Amanda as the lookout at the top of the Mayan temple, which is actually an Aztec temple, though Mayans were in parts of southeastern Mexico. Finn's mom found him unresponsive in his bed. While in a test for a New York City version of Soren, Jess reveals to Willa that her dreams involve an attraction where you push buttons. Dun, 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 mission space. Oh yeah, baby. Woo! Maybeck and Charlene are checking it out, which they were already going to check it out since it has to do with flight. Willa and Jess also check out the Soren projection room because it's supposed to be a cold, undisturbed room, and it did have like that temperature drop and stuff. Philby versus the mechanic, audio animatronic, as film starts his ride on test track. Jess suggests that Maleficent caused temperature drops by retracing Wayne's steps, and that wherever she may be would be an always cold place rather than where the maintenance list said there was a brief temp drop. The places Wayne went, all flying related, all have clues to help him, and more importantly to him, the parks. Finn and Philby encounter Maleficent during their perilous ride on test track. And that is it for the highlights reel. It was all over the place, just like this section was all over the place, but I hope you could follow it like I hope you could follow the book. All right, iconic things. So things briefly mentioned, well, there are two things on this list. One was briefly mentioned, one was more in depth, but in the book, but I have to talk about it. So the iconic thing that was briefly mentioned was Universe of Energy. I like that attraction. Like, I understand why some people thought it was boring, but it was also like a good place for my grandma to go rest while we were in the parks with her, and like while us staying entertained. Because what, it was like 40 some minutes. It was insane. With Ellen and Alex Trebek, R.I.P. Was Bill Nye in it too? Right? Yeah, Bill Nye was in it too. So yeah, I just thought it was like I liked it, but I love Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind way more, even though it's like kind of mocking other pavilions of real places. But the attraction is just so good. So anyway, I think it's a worthwhile replacement of Universe of Energy, though it does take a, oh my gosh, I just sneezed. I'm sorry. It does take a step further away from, what's it? The like education and edutainment stylings of old Epcot, which I did enjoy, and I know many people enjoyed. But you know, I'm open to new things, but I don't know. We'll see how Epcot turns out in the end. I haven't been there since they've taken all the walls down in December. I was literally there like the day before, and I didn't even know it was the day before that was happening. So, oh well. The thing I wanted to talk about that is iconic, at least to me, that was more than briefly mentioned during this section is Mission Space. That was where I was put during my Disney College program. Love that attraction. So I just have quite a few bullet points just to say, and I think there's something else later in like random comments or questions, one of those. All right, so about the whole getting sick thing, if you're nervous about that, but you could handle orange, then I'd recommend not riding with a full stomach and maybe save it for toward the end of the day, unless you're going to try to drink around the world. If you don't think you could handle it, which it goes about, I want to say it's about 3 Gs. Like astronauts have ridden it and they were like, that's the closest feeling I've had on land to like actually going into space. Like it is so much like our training. Like when we do this kind of training, like it's at least like that pressure. So like wow. And the engineering company on it I think is Moog, MMOG, and like they are actual aerospace engineers. So like it's insanely cool if you ask me. If you don't think you can handle it and you're not claustrophobic, I recommend riding the green team. Personally, I like to ride both sides, like green and orange, because the experiences are totally different. Other than being in the same ride vehicle, like orange has a lot more like action and thrill and those G forces, whereas green is kind of like a very calm, serene, pretty flight around the globe. So yeah, they're both nice in their own way. Well, great in their own way. I also wouldn't call the attraction a turntable like Ridley Pearson does. Each pod is suspended in the air by an arm that's attached to the top of it and the structure in the center of the room. So like structure in the center of the room and then 10 arms going out, holding on to each like pod. The floor drops while the attraction is operating, the edge of which is where the intentional crack is, which like Ridley Pearson mentioned the crack in the floor. When the operation's on, how it creates a crack in the floor. It's not like it's breaking the floor, like it's just like a designated drop point, I guess, for the floor. There's also plenty of time to hop in real quick after closing the door. I just want to say, obviously, Maybeck was able to do that in these chapters, but there's time. I would say there's time. How do I know? Did I ever try it? Can't say. Also, the seat restraint button lifts the restraints, and the restraints are already kept up when the seats are empty. So they wouldn't have had to press the restraint button like Maybeck did in this book. I don't know if that was if they pressed it in this book to lift the restraints or to lock them in place, but what it does is it just lifts the restraints. But they shouldn't have had to lift the restraints because the restraints are kept up overnight when the attraction's empty. I am going to leave a poll on Spotify as to which position you'd prefer on mission space. We've got navigator, pilot, commander, or engineer. Personally, my favorite is engineer. That's also my favorite position on Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. I think pilot on Millennium Falcon is, but it's like way too stressful, especially because you only either direct up, down, or side to side. It's just like I felt like I had no like I'm not like the type A person who feels like they need to have control over everything, but I was like, I'm literally doing my best and I can't really control where this vehicle is going. And it was like, and you don't like share a mind with the other pilot. So like you could be avoiding an obstacle bottom right by making it go left, but then they go up instead of staying down, so you hit this obstacle in the upper left hand corner. I'm doing it the opposite of you guys. Whatever. So yeah. But yeah, mission space positions. Navigator, pilot, commander, or engineer. Also shout out, I believe Gary Sinise was still the Oh my gosh, what would we call them? Like, just like the lead person in the videos. Because right now it's a lady, and I don't know the actress's name, but it used to be Gary Sinise. And Gary Sinise has kept close ties with Disney. Every year he sends people from the Gary Sinise Foundation down to Disney. And sometimes some years he'll do the candlelight processional. And oh, if you don't know what the Gary Sinise Foundation is, um, it does different kinds of support for families of fallen soldiers. So, usually early December when times can be like, because the holidays can be really hard for people who have lost loved ones. He'll send those people who have lost loved ones down to Disney, and like it's all, and they're all wearing like Gary Sinise Foundation shirts. Like it's obvious there are tons of people that he um has helped get down there and like find some joy in that holiday season that can sometimes be really sad and upsetting for them. But yeah. So go Gary Sinise. Oh, if you don't know who Gary Sinise is, he was Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump. He also did other things, of course, but that's obviously his most well-known role. Now on to random comments. I just want to say I have a sticker of part of the Maelstrom mural with the redheaded Viking in it. It used to be on one of my water bottles until that bottle fell and broke in Epcot, actually. Let me pull up a photo of the Maelstrom mural. Okay, so here's the redheaded Viking. But he's in the mural. This isn't the 3D part. Um, but yeah, here's a decent, oh, here's a good photo of it. It's kind of distorted a little, but I kind of had like this section right here with a little bit of the polar bear, and I got that off like Redbubble. Let me see if we can find the bow of the boat that like sticks out. Maybe if I pull up a maelstrom right through, we can see it. I like watching these things in theater mode. I don't know why, I just do. The boat outside. Okay. Here's the mural. Okay, they're getting on the boat. Ooh, hello, little guy. Okay, I don't really see like a 3D boat that just like sticks out. Like, where are they talking about? Is it just inside here? There's nothing that like sticks out of the mural. So like, I'm confused. Let's see if we can see a sword. Hopefully it will be a Norwegian sword in here and not an Irish sword. You can't really see, can you? Let's fast forward to the polar bears. So dark. Trolls. Maybe going backwards. Okay, here they are going backwards. Let it go. Let it go. Almost at the polar bears. Here they are. Oh, look at the little baby polar bear. Rawr. Slice it off. Oh, bye, polar bear. Oh, this is making me feel so nostalgic. Ooh. Okay. Troll time. Another turning point. This is fun. Mm. I thought this is where the trolls were. Oh yeah, there's, well, that's a like earth giant or something. I don't know. Oh well. Bye bye. Gnomes. Wasn't it gnomes, not trolls? Whatever. Anyway, that was a little fun little stroll down memory lane for me. I hope it was for some of you guys too. Okay, anyway, back to random comments. Charlene may have vaulted herself, but she didn't do like a gymnastics vault without the follow through because she went feet first and vault. is like hands first after you take off from the ground. So, and like vault by definition is like, you know, throwing yourself like towards something in the air, and it's mostly associated when you have like a pole, like pole vaulting or gymnastics vaulting, like use a pole or like your hands, like something else on the ground, and then you shoot yourself forward. So I'm not really sure she vaulted, but okay. Then at one point, Finn and Amanda ducked behind a gift cart, but those are put away at night. I had a friend who worked Epcot merchandise. Well, one of my roommates during my college program worked Epcot merchandise, like front of park stuff. And yeah, those are taken down below. They kind of have like a mini utilidor thing at like the front of Epcot for stuff like those gift carts, like where you can buy bubble wands and stuff. Next, I have a feeling that the danger button in Illumination's control room will come in handy at some point. I feel like they wouldn't have mentioned it unless it was going to be pressed. So we'll see. Ridley Pearson's been using the Disney version of the term pavilion wrong. He's referring to different areas within a pavilion as a pavilion, like different groups of shops in the France pavilion or the Soarin' area in the Land pavilion. I just thought it was a little odd, but he was still like, I mean, when he wrote his first book, he only went to Disney like once and then was like, oh hey, like I don't know, he started having discussions with Disney Hyperion Books about it. I know he went with Dave Barry, his co-author for Peter and the Starcatchers. They might have been invited down, I forget. Um, but yeah, I guess he just wasn't like that familiar with the terminology, so he used it incorrectly. I just thought of something that like, yes, you're like if you were thinking like, did he use that wrong too? Like yes, that was used incorrectly. But you know, we still understood what he was saying, so it didn't like hurt the book, in my opinion. At least didn't hurt the plot. Okay, and then my last random comment. At Test Track, Philby said that at least one seat had to be buckled for, yeah, seatbelt, whatever, for a car to move. And Finn responded with, but that also means I'll be strapped in and you won't. Okay, so obviously Finn um meant that like Philby wouldn't be as safe as he is in the car. But like, do you really want to be trapped on a ride where there may be overtakers waiting to get you? Like, I would just cling for dear life onto the handlebars and just be like, but I'm not strapping myself in. That is like a death sentence. And like with that in mind, like you could just strap an empty seat. Like seriously, they didn't mention anything about like weight sensors or weight triggers or anything. Like it has to be at least, I don't know, 20 pounds, 50 pounds, 40 pounds, I don't know, however much a child would weigh for their height limit at like the least. But I don't know, to like trigger. So there's no weight thing. Also, like Finn could maybe try pulling if he wants Philby to be built in like he is, then he can maybe try pulling a seatbelt out far enough so that Philby can click it in while the car is in motion. Though that would only work out if the seatbelt didn't come out further while the car was in motion, but he could still click it in though. Maybe he can't click it in when the ride's in motion. Moving on to random questions. I feel like I had quite a number. Yeah, okay. Are security cameras not a thing in the parks in these books? Like, it's been popping into my head a few times, but I finally like wrote it down here. I'm not sure if I wrote it down for the other books. I don't think I did. I know we're unsure whether the security people can see the characters at the moment, but what about the keepers, especially Justin and Amanda, who aren't Disney hosts? Like, they can see the DHIs. So it's like, oh, those 5 kids, their thing is still on. Why? But also, like, why are they running? But also, who are these people? Who are these holograms? We never did Disney must have made new ones, I guess. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, my second question is fireworks control reeling at the top of the Aztec temple. I looked into it and there were multiple confirmations that it happened at the top of the Aztec temple for illuminations. I didn't see anything about the current shows. But yeah. So that's cool. I hope they're still controlled up there. I think that would be cool. Anyway, next. I wonder how well a no lying family policy would actually work. I feel like it's kind of an underlying policy for most families, not something stated outright, like with the Whitman family. Does anyone out there have experience with that kind of like no lying family policy? If you do, please drop a comment on like Spotify or YouTube or something. My next question is, how did Maybeck start mission space? It can only be started from outside the room where it spins. Also, his shoe would have caused a ride stop. So why didn't it? After having so much to say about this attraction, I'm curious what other cast members or former cast members had to say about the accuracy of their attractions in this book. But yeah, you have to be outside of the room where like the mission space attraction is spinning to start the attraction. And there are low to the ground sensors where if anything is out of place, the ride won't even start. Or if it senses it like after the ride start, even if it's like 3 seconds, the ride will stop. Someone will have to go in, do a walk around, check everything, and get clearance from mission control to clear the ride stop. Anyway, moving on. Would you have wanted to see the New York version of Soarin'? Um, I don't know. I think it would have been cool. I think I still would like Soarin' over California better. Definitely Soarin' around the world better. But what kind of scenes would you guys like to see in Soarin'? Definitely let me know below. Um, I kind of started thinking about what would I like, and then I wrote like a lot. So I would like to see like different kinds of wildlife, which is part of the reason why I really like Soaring Around the World. Because you get little tastes of it, like with the orca, polar bears, elephants. I love seeing the Disney film locations in Soaring Around the World, especially Sydney, because I used to live in Sydney, and like right as the Sydney clip starts, we either just miss or just barely see the first apartment building my family stayed in when we moved to Australia. So right down there in Neutral Bay. So yeah, that's really cool to me. I love that. And then that made me thinking maybe I just want to see like a version of Soren personalized places I've lived or places near where I've lived that I spent a lot of time at that might or that like I've spent a lot of time at that might add some nice scenery and that I enjoy, like jumping rocks at the creek on the way to the swimming hole in our old village, Hershey Park, Disney World, Sydney Harbor, of course, gotta keep that clip in, Balmoral Beach, Lake Michigan, Binder Park Zoo, which I didn't live in Michigan. Well, like when I was born, where I was born in Indiana was really near Lake Michigan, but like Binder Park Zoo is in Michigan. I didn't live there, but it like changed my life along with Disney. Like took me on the animal route. Anyway, moving on. North Georgia, University of Georgia, UGA. Um, Jekyll Island, UGA, University of Georgia. The North Campus was so pretty, but there's also like a forest south of campus, a lake in South Campus, so it's really cool. Jekyll Island, penguins or something at Georgia Aquarium, since it's South Africa. And then maybe I'd like do one of like dream travel places like Thailand, Indonesia, New Zealand, Greece, Scotland, Hawaii. I, I said Hawaii, but there was like a little K sound, so it sounded like Hawaii, which is still right. I mean, it's great too. Like more specific. I suppose there are a lot of places that would make me happy to see. So I think that's why I like soaring around the world. Like it takes me to more places than just California or New York City or something. But yeah, definitely let me know some places you would love to see in your kind of dream version of Soarin'. Or if you'd want to see the New York City one. Okay. Next, why did Willa and Jess turn the lights on if they could be seen from below? Couldn't they use residual light from the projector or Willa's phone? Or hey, I don't know, themselves? I don't know. Come on, guys. Next, the test track ride vehicle went partially sideways a lot, but those cars wouldn't be able to do that the way they're connected to the track. Once between the front tires and the second time between the rear tires. On to the last question. How did neither of the boys get sliced when Finn jumped and tumbled into the vehicle? Like, he was holding the sword. How did him and Philby not get, like, cut in some way? It's a miracle. Good Lord. Anyway, that rounds out stuff for this episode. Definitely stay tuned for my Villains Realm review next week. Woo woo, New Kingdom Keepers book. And then the week after that will be section 5 of the book, which will cover chapters 33 through 39. And then we're on to the home stretch. We got less than 100 pages to go, at least in my copy. Woo woo. And then I'm almost done catching fire. And then please, I can time it. And then I can be done them about the same time. And then just invest myself wholly into Iron Flame. But anyway, it's been great talking to you guys this week. Definitely vote in the poll, chat in the comments, all that kind of jazz. And yeah, I will see you guys next week. Bye! Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and follow. Also, please chat with me and other members of this club in the comments of the YouTube video. My other social media information and a link to the Long Distance Sisters podcast I am also part of will be below. Back in a whack!